The pickings are slim for the bears down here now. I've been down here for about a week. See one dead salmon out in the middle there. But nothing swimming around and no birds. Guess that means they're waiting. We'll see what the next run's going to be. Chilly nights and mornings now. Man, it seems like it was just yesterday we're trying to escape the heat 24/7 around here. No birds, no fish, no bears. Those bears gonna be running around looking for something somewhere. Actually, one of the neighbors said that big one was right up by the house the other day, waiting for the next run of fish. Anyway, I had since that last email share, of course the inbox blew up. It's funny how many confused people out there, you know? It's like I'll get, you know, when we had that, what I think is a very important email from the military pilot. There's close to 4 million people here a month. And you wouldn't believe how many people commented or emailed and went, I've known this for a long time, they can see the IR. I've known it for a long time, it's no new news. Oh, really? Sorry, we totally forgot that this channel was about you. Apologies. So to all you people who either A, know it all, or think you know it all, there's a shit pile of people out there looking for information on this channel, and they want to get informed, and they're getting informed, alright? So if apparently something gets shared here that you think or you claim or you do have known for some time, don't forget, you're amongst a crowd of millions of people. Alright? So that's another thing too. Might as well keep addressing these little tiny ticks. There's also a small handful of people out there who feel the need to email me and vent and complain that this channel is just repetitive. It's repeating, get up the pot, blah, blah, blah. Well, maybe you're repetitive and going to the same place. Did you ever think about that? Uninvited. But anyway, again, in case I think there's just a handful of people that have missed the major point here, is this place is offering a safe place for literally tens of thousands of people to come for true knowledge and acceptance, and a safe place to share what they have seen, what they need to get off their chest. And there is about 150% more thank yous than not for maintaining this place and offering it up for people to come and get off their chest what they need to share, or share knowledge. All right, so if that's not entertaining enough for you, like I said before, beat it, get lost, scram, delete and block this channel, do all you can to make sure you don't ever see it again, and that will solve your problems. All right, now let's get into sharing some voices here. I've got 1 week, and that's it, to get a lot done. And I'm getting it done. Got up earlier this morning. A lot of people are concerned about me not taking enough time for myself and burning out. I know, I get it, but you know what? Honestly, I don't know what it is, but the last handful of years, I have had this burning feeling like I'm running out of time, and I hate wasting a minute. And I want to do it all, learn it all, and share it all. So, what do, right? You keep going. But I've been at this pace for a long time. And it's, I'm still alive. I haven't burnt out yet, and believe me, I was going to burn out at what happened a little while back. Now listen. What do we got here? Alright, here we go. What do we got? The Lady from Ocala National Forest is the title of the email. Mark it in red so I don't get in trouble. Hey Steve, my name is Rob, and a spirited 67 years old. As I was enjoying your story you were reading about the guys from the Ocala National Forest, 2 things dawned on me. First, when I was about 13, we lived in Daytona Beach, Florida. One weekend I went with a friend Tommy, his older brother Scott, and his dad to go camping and boating in the Ocala Forest on the
Ocala River. Beautiful crystal clear river that is fed by the famous Silver Springs, where they filmed The Creature from the Black Lagoon. Anyway, that first night camping, we were just goofing around and talking, and we all heard this guttural, low but loud, kind of like a big cat roar but faster and longer. I was clueless. Tommy's dad said, "Oh, that's just a bull gator trying to find a lady gator." Seemed logical to me, as we saw many gators that day. This went on for about 10 minutes, and then we heard the loudest yell and screech I've ever heard, on which lasted about 10 seconds each, 2 from behind us and then 1 from the opposite side. We all sat up and looked at Tommy's dad, said, "What was that?" His dad just shook his head and said, "I don't know." He did tell us that when they were filming that horror movie here, they brought about 12 trained monkeys with them and forgot to lock the cage one night. So now there are a good many monkeys living in the area. Maybe it was with them. We laughed, but we all knew that was a whole lot louder than a monkey, for sure. And we left it at that. Hearing the lady's story made me think it must have been her forest buddies. They, big guys, same area and the same time period. Second, years later. I just got out of the Navy and it was 1978. Myself and a buddy decided to take a suburban Brat 4x4 out one night to do a little trail riding in the Tomoka Forest, which runs into the Ocala Forest. We were in there pretty deep after about an hour and came up to a large mound, or 15-foot berm if you will. Well, we hit the hill fairly fast and barely made the top. When we did, as the front end of the truck ended on the downside of the berm, We had the high beams on as well as the fog lights, and shining brightly at the bottom of the hill, maybe 5 feet back, standing straight up on 2 legs, leaning on a tree with one arm, was what I thought was a 5-foot monkey. My buddy and I both said, "What the F is that?" at the same damn time. It turned and walked away on 2 legs. The hair was reddish brown all over. It was maybe an inch or 2 long, a little longer on its arms and head, tannish colored skin, and except for the nose, looked more... That'll be a salmon that just jumped beside me. I think, unless it was a rock that hit the water. It's crystal clear water. I can't see any fish, but that's a big spot. Anyway, it's alright. Tannish colored skin, and except for the nose, looked more monkey than human to me. But I have never seen a monkey walk on 2 feet like that, just like us. Anyway, Steve, thanks for all you do. Thanks to the Ocala lady for solving my 54-year-old mystery for me. Rob Boucher. Rob, thanks for that email, man. Appreciate your time. Appreciate your time you took to type that out and send it to everybody through me. I want to see that fish. Hopefully it was a fish. I don't know why I'm not seeing it. I'll show you guys a view of what I'm looking at after, as usual. Florida has no shortage going on down there, does it? What a lush frickin' jungle of a area that is down there. I've been down there and hunted for spring turkey in Florida. Like I spent more time, like I said it before, looking to see if anything was looking at me in the forest than I was listening for turkey. Please read. I need your opinion. Alright? Not that mine means much. My name is Ryan. My email you can share if you want. I'm usually someone that is quick to tell a good story, as I return back from many ventures into the woods alone on journeys from D.B. Cooper hunts in Washington State for days, to fishing for the whole day alone up mountain rivers in my home state of Montana. Now I'm going to include some semi-specific locations and people by initial, because I believe this is where lies some of our answers, and it may just be my opinion amongst others, but I had an experience that made me almost question my own sanity for a moment, and makes me get goosebumps uncontrollably just thinking about it. I'm currently writing this from a cabin alongside the Boulder River, way up in the mountains at a camp called, by the Crow natives, Mimnagashi, I believe roughly translating to Singing River. This place is gorgeous. I've been a lot of places, I grew up on the banks of the Snake River in Idaho. My father, aka the Bowman, took us all over the mountains and even worked a sporting goods store for many years since before I could remember, and I'm 40. Hunting and fishing in the outdoors were on heritage. Washington's Eagle Cliffs, Multnomah Falls, ice caves, tiger muskie fishing on Montana lakes. I say all this because maybe I've been worried in the woods alone a few times or even a little scared, but the experience I had on this day affected more than my emotional standing. It was soulless. I may even be making up my own word when I say that, but it's for lack of a better word, I guess. It's affecting my everything. Anyway, on my experience. Wait, 1 sec. My very good friend and who work together and spend almost more time with than my wife, were doing a flooring install for the above mentioned camp, and he became ill near the end of the day. Okay, there's no punctuation again. Sorry. I called it an early day that day about 3 o'clock, which is wonderful news because that gives me time to take off and fish the river and travel upstream out of camp boundary. So I grab my backpack, my fishing pole, and I'm off. As the evening starts to lose a little daylight, I'm having a hard time coming off of the river. The fishing was so good between browns and brooks, I totaled 15 fish before dark. I'm not afraid of the dark at all. I find myself enjoying the dark woods most of the time, but this was not one of those times. I finally told myself, last cast, and I meant it this time. Well, it was now dark. I'm about 2 miles upstream from my camp, and I have only my phone as a light silver moon and loud Boulder River in my ear. So yes, it's loud and it's dark. Then it happens. It was like someone whispered in my ear, "Look at me." My heart literally skipped a beat, but quickly made up for it with the next 640,000 in the next 30 seconds. I'm not a young guy by age anymore, but I'm fit. I thought I was having a heart attack. I don't understand my body right now. Why was I feeling that way when I looked back through the dark, back up the river, farther, like someone jerked my head that way and was holding it for me? 2 of the boulders suddenly perturbed shoulders, then a head, as they stood almost simultaneously and headed up the bank south from the river, same as myself. First thought, bear. Second thought is get up the hill and head towards camp now, make noise, look big. You know how to handle the situation. So I'm yelling, "Hey bear," and I'm moving briskly towards camp when I go to step over a tree laying across my direction of travel. As I lift my leg and go to give another "Hey bear" yell, it won't come out. And my leg isn't moving. Suddenly in my left peripheral view, an animal on 2 legs walking at normal speed walks right by me. That's when I come to realize I wasn't frozen and I wasn't unable to yell. I was like in super slow motion, and this creature was in regular motion. The time it took me to even get my foot high enough to get over a 1-foot tall tree on its side, it had walked by me and up over the hill about 40 yards from me. As soon as it was out of sight, it screamed. Don't forget, there's very little punctuation, alright? I'm doing the best I can. Now moaned a couple key low frequency grunt and got an almost hiss-like response from my rear. My motion became normal again and I stopped, froze, and listened. There was nothing, and I wasn't afraid anymore of whatever that was, or a bear, or even a spider. I was content. Nirvana almost. I walked slowly back to camp, still okay, normal, just listening. I wanted to say something to my good friend about what happened, but it still seems uneventful, and as if uninteresting, I guess. He started me listening to your show, and I've always been against most of your emails and what I call fake stories. I don't even know if I should be telling you this. Subconsciously, it feels like I'm doing something wrong. But here's the deal. Something happened to me and it's still affecting me. Please read this email and help me with your opinion. If the people that are meant to hear this do, then that will be even more evidence to my own thoughts. If they are real and what happened to me is believed by the right people, this is the place to find some proof, I think. I believe. Thank you, Steve, and sorry for all the typos. You're forgiven. What do I think? My opinion? Well, my opinion is probably going to be the same as everybody else that's helped create this channel, this platform of knowledge sharing. I'm no expert, but I am taking in everybody's experiences, and I'm taking in as much knowledge as I can from everybody, just like a lot of people are here right now. And the fact is, this shit that happened to you is going on, and it's happened to dozens of other people, and it seems to be 99.9% of the time is accompanied with a sighting of one of these big hairy bastards, right? So there you go. And I guess you are, if it's been bugging you, affecting you, I hate to say it, but welcome to the club of no return, man. Right? You didn't ask for it. Innocently stumbled across it, and you weren't prepared because nobody's ever given you the knowledge, ever, about what's going on or what could go on, or what could possibly happen to you, maybe, if you went to this place or that place or that place, right? My opinion on this. I don't know. It's frustrating, isn't it? Isn't it frustrating to have a life-changing moment like that and have nowhere to go for an answer? Doesn't it make you angry? I mean, honestly, and I'm saying this to everybody, and this is what I'm going to be saying to everybody that I speak to in person. I want to know what this has done to your feelings, your thoughts on society today as a whole about being misinformed, not taught correct information. Doesn't it make you frustrated and angry at this point? And I'm talking to all you people that are a member of the club you're a member of the club of no return. Aren't you frustrated and angry that you had a life-changing experience on the face of this planet, just as tens of thousands of other people have, yet you're not allowed to speak about it publicly on mainstream news or knowledge networks or what have you? Doesn't that piss you off? Like, the amount of people that I come across this lifetime and I observe, especially today with all these troubling times, the amount of people that just got the blinders on, they're on program to go straight and forward and follow. Do what you're told, learn what we tell you to learn, and do not speak openly about these X amount of topics. It drives me insane. Oh, another fish down there, maybe. But anyway, I'm going to cut myself shy going on that rant. So, my opinion, I don't know if my opinion really means too much, because I am just a student on this channel with all of everybody else as we all pool our knowledge together and try to figure this shit out on our own, because that's the only way, right? What happened to you has happened to thousands of other people, and how it has that effect on us, I don't know how they do it. Like I said before, I've said a few times, if I knew how to do that, I would terrorize the bad people in the world until they were in straitjackets. That's what I'd do with that gift, right? But then evil would probably get a hold of that gift, that talent, maybe evil already has, and they'd use it to solely to create power and control for themselves, right? And gain. Oh, there's a dead salmon floating back behind me on the river. I guess there's still a few salmon floating around. That means these bears should be down here on patrol pretty quick. Might see one behind me, might not. Something keeps rising over there. But anyway, if I were you, I would absolutely try to go through all of the previous videos on this channel to read other people's experiences, their feelings, what happened to them, so that first off, then you understand that you're not alone. You didn't imagine it. You didn't make it up. You're not losing your shit between your ears, all right? And do that. Make sure you go back, listen to as many of these experiences as you can, and that will help you put that messed up puzzle together eventually, as long as you don't quit trying, right? And that's what we're doing here. But anyway, I got to keep going. Thanks for that email, man. I hope you find some sort of peace from this channel with what you experienced. And believe me, as soon as we get more direct answers, it's going to be shared here word for word instantly. Nothing's held back. Nothing's edited. All right, lumberjack. My youngest son Alex and I walked to a cemetery behind my house in East Tennessee. Beyond the cemetery, there was only woods for a couple of miles before reaching the North Carolina state line. It was an unusually warm evening at around 10 p.m., early summer 2021. As we chatted, in the faint glow of a quarter moon, something on the ridge above struck a tree trunk 3 times. Immediately after the third whack, the tree began to fall. Like everyone else, who lives in this tiny cove. We harvest our own firewood, so we are familiar with the sound of falling timber. When the tree hit the ground, we both knew it was a 20 to 25 inch hardwood. There are no roads or even trails on that ridge. Alex quickly looked at me and his eyes were saying, "Turd number 2 on the way." I didn't have to say a thing. We were both moving toward home. The next day I went up and had a look. Something had broken the 22-inch trunk of a healthy 50-foot maple tree, about 9 feet above the ground. As I was digesting the scene, I had a chilling epiphany. I didn't have the feeling I was being watched, but I said to myself, "It knows I'm here." I felt it as clearly as the breeze on my face. From that moment forward, late night strolls require firearms. Thank you for this outlet, Randall Hughes. Thank you, Randall. This outlet isn't possible without people like you, man. Thanks for your time to share that with everybody through me. Yeah, it's pretty bizarre once you figure out that they are real, right? I think if I could have preferred, I think I possibly would have preferred to have heard I wish my grandfather had filled me in that he seen one face to face before I seen one. I think that would have helped me out, possibly, maybe a lot more. Having somebody you trust with your life tell you that they've seen one of these things, I think would help out a lot, instead of having to figure it out on yourself due to an encounter, right? Because that sends you in a tailspin of confusion, panic, anxiety, trying to figure shit out, thinking you're crazy. It's a crazy lifetime, man. All right, my Sabe Bigfoot story. Hi Steve, you may use my name. My story begins in 1961 in South Alabama. I was around 13 years old. We lived about 3 miles outside of a small town, in a rural area with lots of woods around. A year or so earlier, a divided four-lane highway was put in. Our house had to move back to make room. They installed access roads on each side, with sloping banks about 20 feet above the 4-lane. My dad was in bed recovering from an operation, and my mom was crippled. Mom woke me around 3 a.m. to look at what she thought was a man sitting on the bank beside the access road. He was sitting facing the road, between the access road and the 4-lane, at the top of the slope. You could see him as cars went by. He was swaying back and forth. My mom thought it was a drunk, told me to go run him off. I went to the end of her driveway. The moon must have been shining some, but it was still hard to see. My flashlight wouldn't work. I could only see his silhouette, but not much detail. It looked like he had a furry overcoat and hoodie, which seemed odd. I noticed he was very large and didn't want to get too close to him. He was about 40 to 50 feet from me at this point. I yelled at him to leave. As soon as I yelled, he froze and stopped moving completely. For some reason, I was almost overcome with fear and the shakes. I pushed through the fear with more yelling. It had no result. He remained frozen. I threw some small rocks and gravel near him, yelling. Still no results. I found a small bottle in the ditch and threw it. It landed on the ground and bounced up against him. He let out a very loud grunt, sprang to his feet, and ran down the hill. He ran across the highway, up the other bank, and into the woods. It happened so fast it startled me. Man, he was so big, maybe 8 feet tall or more. He had been sitting farther down the hill than I thought. Even from there, he towered over me. It looked like he had a kind of a fur pants that went all the way to the ground. He didn't even slow down to go up the hill on the other side and went directly into the woods. It happened so fast. No person can run and move that fast. I didn't know what to think at the time, as I had not heard of Sabe. Upon research, when I got a little older, I discovered what it was. I'm so glad I didn't see its face clearly then, and that he decided to run. I don't know how I would have taken it. Everyone I told about it then just laughed, and some made fun of me. I could see now what you meant by them just being too afraid to accept what I saw. The friends I have now all seem to believe my story. By the way, I never told my mother what I saw. She would not have understood. Thanks, Steve, for this site to share what we've been through. That night has remained clear in my memory until this day. I wish the best for you and your family. My condolences for Mr. Macaroni. Shawick White. Shawick, thanks for that email, man. You're not the only person from Alabama to have joined the Club of No Return without asking. I mentioned it earlier. I was with a friend of mine on his hunting property in Alabama, Greene County. So what's that?
western Alabama, Midwest, a little more northern west. I think I'd have to look at the map. And I shared this before. He had hired a trapper to come and thin out the raccoons and the beavers on their new hunting property. The place is getting flooded out bad, and trying to enhance the turkeys. And the trapper, we went and checked on him, see how he's doing. And the guy knew who I was from YouTube, from sharing my wolf trapping knowledge. And he had, I think he had a hair sample too. And he found 18-inch, I think, footprints in a farm field and a great big pile up. And he actually still had it in a bag somewhere. So that's somebody who I met directly in Alabama who had an experience. You're not alone. Lucky that dude didn't pick up a boulder the size of a volleyball and fire it back at your head after you hit him with a bottle in retaliation, right? Pretty lucky. Excuse me. Here's a short one. I debated on sharing this, but I think I'll share it anyway just for the hell of it. You can get them on trail cams. Dear Steve, my name is Jack Quinn. Feel free to use my name if you were to read this to the round table. Excuse me. I've been trying to tell the so-called researchers how to get these things on trail cam for 5 years now, ever since we did it on that first try. I even told you in an email about a year ago. We used a blue transparent Mylar film, like in a high school themed notebook book. We wrapped it around the camera. It covered both the lens and infrared lens. We then stuck it into a hollow root ball and camoed it with leaves. We faced toward the adjacent trail and hung apples up in the trees. 3 days later, we had a Sasquatch on it. The photo is in a book about Ohio sightings. The key is changing the color spectrum of the infrared. So there it is. Take from what you will or consider me full of shit, but the photo doesn't lie. Dog men can be tricked like this too. I know for a fact. Keep up the good work, Jack Quinn. Okay, Jack. Consider my reply as a friend to a friend sitting at the table, all right? And I'm not being a dick, but it'd be like, all right, so you just shared an email with us telling us how you got a Sasquatch in the first go and you can do it, and you never included the photo. Do you realize what that's going to do to the millions of people watching this channel right now when they read your email? Think about it, dude. It'd be like me telling you guys, listen, I'm telling you right now, you can get pictures of Sasquatch and trail cameras. I did it my first try, all right? So there you go. Take from where you will leave it. You're going to get absolutely pounced on with tens of thousands of people going, where's the photo? Right? So anyway, there you go. I shared your email, buddy. Don't blame me for the flack you're going to get in the comment section. All right? But think about it. Anybody delivers that kind of a confident message without a photo to back it up. It's unfortunate, but how many times have we heard of people saying, we've got lots of video of them. I've known these things since I was 2 years old or whatever. No video, no photos. Honestly, it doesn't matter to me. Moving along. Thanks again for the email. I hope it doesn't cause you too much grief in the comment section, but maybe next time you might want to include a photo with such a bold statement. Colorado experience. Well, I guess I'm doing this. Okay, how long is this one? Holy shit, it's a bit of a long one. All right, well, I'll do this one more. We'll close it up, and maybe I'll come back down here later on because I gotta get my trail cameras that I have stashed around here. Well, I guess I'm doing this. Hello, Steve, and watch your channel. Sasquatch related anyway, since 2019, maybe 18, I think. Had experience in the Flat Tops area of Colorado, but not the wilderness. It was White River National Forest. This area is out of Newcastle, off of I-70, north up Buford, Newcastle Road, maybe 50 miles to the tops of the area. Lots of public land here to be enjoyed. Lots of horse riders. Lots of sheep grazing, too. Probably the worst part about it. Lots of very old major horse trails for getting back into the wilderness. Pretty awesome spot. Anywho, I'm 23 years old and the year was 1999. I was living in Boulder, Colorado, and my brother and I had been up to this area several times since May, scouting hard and learning where the game was. Mostly targeting elk habitat, lots of muleys here too, but they prefer a bit lower elevation where the grass grows tall and the thicker aspen grows. We found success taking muley does, cow and bull elk, all with archery equipment in this area. It's a great place for novice archery hunters who are looking for elk and deer action. Lots of quarry, great populations of game, plenty of black bear too. Well, back then anyway. Not sure what the impact the wolves had there. This particular hunt I was partnered up with my brother. We had spent the day working a series of 4 ridges
and were headed back towards the truck. We were a long ways, 4 miles from any roads, about a 7-mile trek back to the truck, longer if you didn't know your way. We encountered a small herd of elk as we topped a lower ridge, and they were just grazing their way to some feeding area. It was about 30 minutes till dark, and I told my brother, let's get over there and go for it. I seen a couple of small bulls. Man, we were excited. We had to get down the ridge we were on and cross to the next hill and then up to the small park meadow they were filtering into. We sprinted. I remember needing to try to catch my breath for a full 5 minutes before I could even attempt to stalk the elk. I'm talking dizzy. We were at 9,500 feet. Okay, so we stalked these elk across the small lower ridge without really paying attention to how we got there. I'm sure you know what I mean. That's what makes hunting so adventurous. So by the time we blew all of our chances at any decent shots, it got solidly past dark, and being too able to make a shot. It got solidly past dark, and being too able to make a shot due to lack of light. So my brother and I regroup and consider our position. I've been out to the area most recently a few times, more than my brother, as far as wandering over the mountain. So he was looking to me to direct us out. We checked our 7.5 minute. You had to heard that, fish. I still can't see it. It better not be rocks. I'll figure it out after I read this. We checked our 7.5 foot minute top out quickly and figured we knew the general direction towards the cow trail we left the truck on. About 2 hours later, we decided we were lost, which means it was about 11 p.m., though I felt instinctually that we were very close to our trail. My brother was wondering what we should do. I wasn't sure, but thought we needed to continue our current direction. It begins to lightly rain and it is warmish out, early September. Just as we enter an aspen grove on a side hill that leads downhill a long ways down to a river, we're walking the side hill, but it's a gentle slope. We are within the forest now completely, and I see ahead of us what looks like people with headlamps on coming down the hill from above us, yet seemingly about 50 yards ahead of us. I alert my brother. I say to him, hey, there's some people. Maybe I should shout to them. He said, yeah, go ahead. Mind you, we were feeling a bit nervous, apprehensive about our lost situation after hiking around the mountain in the dark a few hours, not panicking, but realizing maybe we might have to sleep out here. I holler to the group of people. I say group because what I could see was what looked like 3 or 4 people walking downhill with green headlamps on and carrying kids on their shoulders, also with green headlamps on. We get no answer, and I look to my brother bewildered and say, they had to hear me. They're just right there. He tells me to try again louder. I yell much louder and probably sounded distressed now. I remember my words clearly to this day. Hey, hello, can you help us? We're lost. At that moment, the group stopped moving and the forest went dead quiet. Then they looked our direction, and it was that moment I noticed the headlamps were not headlamps, but seemingly green eyes. I chalked it up to guys wearing night vision, but also got a sickening, very strange feeling as they looked our way. Instantly, the whole vibe changed. I was overwhelmed with fight or flight symptoms. I said, oh shit, get down, get down. And I pulled my brother down as we moved from our position to a grassy lump that hit us, or so we thought. I guess I felt this position was tactically safer or something, given my feelings I was overcome with. As my brother and I watched these people stare at us with bright green eyes or night vision gear on, I realized now there'd be no easily seen green color from wearing NV gear. None of these people spoke to me in my head. Oh, one of these people spoke to me in my head. It told me the way I needed to go was just behind me, and at the edge of the forest was the trail. Holy shit. I jumped up from my prone position and yelled at my brother, let's go, as I took off sprinting. My brother and I were very fast runners, playing soccer all our lives at an elite level. When we ran, we were moving. My brother in tow says, where are you going? That'll be a loud beaver float plane coming overhead of us. You don't even know the way. I said, it's right here. The trail is right here. My brother proclaims, how can you see anything? As we cleared the last of the trees through the tall grass at an astounding speed, I yell out, this is it. This is the trail. We're on it. I can see it in the moonlight. My brother says, I can't see a trail. It was raining and very dark, so you can imagine. I told him to look away from the ground directly and try to look with peripheral vision. Do you see it? How the moon is lighting the trail? Oh, that's an unfortunate semi-contradiction. It was raining, and then the moon was shining. Unless it was patchy rain. He agreed with me. He was not convinced we were anywhere near where he needed to be. He was getting more worried about being lost. I reassured him I recognized the trail and had been on it before. We still had several miles to hike before the truck. We made it back to the truck several hours later, and a couple of times we both considered taking a nap, but we didn't want to sleep in the rain. But I think it was more that we didn't want to be out on that mountain any longer after the experience. We didn't talk about the people we saw again for quite a while. I asked my brother every now and then, and have over the years as well, about the experience and what we saw. I asked him what he saw and what he thought it could be. He always answers, I don't know what that was, but it was something weird. I tell him since I've come to believe it was Sasquatch or Bigfoot. He never agrees, but he doesn't disagree, nor does he get defensive. He just says, that was some crazy shit, man. How you just took off sprinting, saying, I see the trail, I see the trail. Wild times indeed it was. Okay, so growing up I never learned the truth about Sasquatch, but I realize I haven't had experiences with them. The information on your channel is cementing these experiences very real. I had one more experience with these beings the next year, or maybe 2 years later, but hunting the same forest, not just the same ridge, but same area on a map. This area was similar topography. Beautiful open meadows filled with mature aspen groves throughout and tall grasses, not many firs at all. I was partnered up with my brother-in-law this time, and we had covered a lot of ground that day, and again, we found ourselves out on the mountain at dark. I love that though. No better time than dusk up on the mountain in a semi-open area in the fall. My brother-in-law and I had been still hunting miles apart and been working our way back to each other at a planned spot. We both made it, and right at dark we kept getting this very strong, pungent smell. Much stronger than, say, a porcupine, if you know how smelly those guys can be. They smell like BO times 100, and this smell was times 1,000. We were both kind of chuckling over how strong it was and decided whatever it was must be close by. Then we heard the crazy screaming, and we just looked at each other with pale white faces and said, we better get out. We headed out, but walking and talking about the smell and the ruckus and the sounds just kept getting louder and louder. We were both feeling pretty uneasy, but also baffled at what the heck could be making those sounds or that smell. Now that I know what I know, it seems evident this experience was more of the Sasquatch people in that area. I didn't get any telepathic communications that experience, but the overwhelming dread was sure there. I'm 45, living in Oregon these days. I miss my adventurous days of wandering the mountain during archery season, but my desire dwindled hard after those experiences. Nowadays, I get my outdoor fix via dirt bikes and mountain bikes in the woods. On a dirt bike, it's not the same. A mountain bike is close. You're breathing that fresh air and working hard out in that environment, but totally engulfed. But it also passes by so quickly. That's not the same connection. I don't get out on the mountain and really slow down anymore. Not solo, anyway. Thank you for your efforts in bringing people together on this matter of Sasquatch, Bigfoot, and Sebe. I find it fascinating as well troubling. A few more details about the green-eyed group. When my brother and I reflect on what we saw, we both agree that it looked like people at first, but then the green eyes that shone, without us shining headlamps, and also how smooth they walked. We both noted it was like they were floating down the mountainside and carrying kids on their shoulders. No humans can make nighttime walking down a mountainside in the woods that smooth. Also, I realized that a normal human would have barely visible, if at all, in those conditions. Would have been barely visible, if at all in those conditions, 50 yards away in the lush forest at night in the rain. These things we saw were well above the tall grass, their waist seemingly at the 6-foot height, which is why we could see them so well. Then, the way I suddenly had something tell me in my head where I needed to go, and I didn't even question it, I just knew it. Man, strange stuff. Truth is stranger than fiction, eh? Johnny from Oregon. Johnny, holy shit. That's something else. It's nothing I'd want to see.
Nothing I'd want to see at all. But at least they were polite, right, and helping you out. That's a good thing. I don't imagine they'd be so polite if you just wound up and opened up fire on them with a high-power rifle or something. If somebody did that, not you, but somebody, right? A lot of people just start shooting shit that they're scared of, that they think is not normal. I normally just lay under a tree and sleep when that happens myself. It's way easier, man. And I always tell some people I've had hunters with me, I'm guiding stuff, and I'm like, let's just sleep here. No big deal, let's light a fire, sleep here. And it'll be light out in what, 4 or 5 hours or 6 hours, whatever it is. And the amount of people that don't want to sleep, they want to get back. And all I tell them is, listen, if there's something that's going to kill you out here, it's going to kill you day or night. It doesn't matter. All right? So we might as well just sleep right here and save the chance of hypothermia or getting absolutely soaking wet, sweated up, even more lost, losing your absolute direction, and not getting a fire going. And then next thing you know, you're way too cold, you're way too wet, you're way too cold, you can't even get a fire going, and then that's when you go, and then you're done. In some areas, right? And I've been in some predicaments. I'll tell you what. When you're telling that story, you remind me of a time I was way up a river called, oh, where were we? The Racing River. If you want to Google the Racing Rivers in northeastern British Columbia. And we were about a 2-day ride up that river. No, I'd actually got dropped off by bush plane into a camp to fill in for a new hunt that was going to start. Unfortunately, I had to follow the lead of the guide that was in that camp because he knew the way to get this one trail. And he was our young wrangler years ago. So I let him go at it. Mistake number one. And we left that camp way too late in the day for where we were going, which I didn't have a clue where we were going. I figured he'd already done it before. Anyways, make a long story short, we had about 17 horses, 1 wrangler, us 2. He's leading the way. It got dark fairly soon, and then we're taking a shortcut out of the river drainage to go up and over a big, long humpback of full timber in the dark, and then a blizzard came. And now, fast forward, it's 1 o'clock in the morning. I'm sitting on this forest, basically frozen to the saddle. I can't see nothing. And this kid's up front doing donuts in spruce trees. Spruce timber, that, you know, the timber's only about that big, but it was thicker than shit. And we got, what, I don't know, 14 horses with pack boxes on them, smashing through all these trees, going into donuts, trying to find our way. I was so pissed off. We finally made our way out of there. Thank God. There's a lot. I should tell a story one time, actually. There's a lot more detail to it. And finally got down the bank. Basically just got to this patch in the timber, unpacked all the horses, threw everything on the ground. Got the top pack tarp, threw it on top of that. Got my sleeping bag, a top pack tarp, and I rolled up into it like a taco. Passed out for a few hours to get light out. Absolutely frozen. I'll tell you what, I cannot stand traveling at nighttime in the timber, especially when it's overcast and raining or snowing. I won't do it. I'm going underneath that tree over there. I'm going to go to sleep, and we're going to do this at daylight in the morning. That's just me. Anyway. It's funny, I've had like 3 or 4 splashes right there, and it's crystal clear. I'll show you the camera, and I haven't seen a fish yet. Let's have a look, and then I'm going to get going, all right? Let's see what we got. Here, let's check the exposure here so you can see the bottom clearly. Now, where is this thing? You can see how clear it is. You can see everything in here. See that? You can see the dead fish laying on the bottom right there. Everything's pretty clear. And these splashes were right there. Where's the fish? Tell you what, if a rock hits that water in front of me right now, we're out of here. Fun, yeah? That's looking downriver. It's looking upriver, and around that corner to the left, up around there, is where all those bears have been videotaped. Anyway, enough of this background sound. I'm out of here. I'll see you guys shortly. Share my story at howtohunt.com or tell my story at howtohunt.com, all right? God, those things are noisy.